The communication arrived on a Tuesday morning, cutting through every frequency Earth used. Captain Day One was drinking his third coffee of the day when the alarm started screaming across the Earth Defense Force headquarters. Every screen in the building showed the same thing, a symbol he had never seen before, rotating slowly against a background of stars. "What is that?" someone shouted down the hallway. Day One set down his coffee and walked toward the main communications center. His boots echoed on the metal floor. Around him, officers were running between stations, trying to figure out where the signal was coming from. Nobody had an answer. The signal was everywhere, and nowhere at once. Dr. Hana arrived at the same time he did. She was breathing hard, like she had run the whole way from the research wing. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy knot, and she still wore her lab coat. "Please tell me you see it too," she said. "I see it," Day One replied. "What is it?" Before Hana could answer, the symbol disappeared. In its place, a face appeared on every screen. It was not human. The creature had a long face covered in bright blue feathers, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its mouth was sharp and beak-like. When it spoke, the words came through in perfect English, though Day One could see its mouth moving differently. "Attention! Species of the third planet of the Sol system," the creature said. Its voice was cold and formal. "I am Vekril, Herald of the Galactic Council. Your presence has been noted." The room fell silent. Everyone stopped what they were doing. 15 years ago, humanity had developed faster than light travel. Since then, they had explored 40 star systems, built colonies on 6 worlds, and encountered dozens of alien species. But this was different. This was official. "The Galactic Council is the governing body of this galaxy," Vekril continued. "We have maintained peace and order for 10,000 of your years. All species must follow our laws. All species must accept our guidance." Hana grabbed Day One's arm. "This is first contact. Real first contact. Doesn't sound friendly," Day One whispered back. Vekril kept talking. "Your species is young. You have only recently learned to travel between stars. This is a dangerous time. Young species often make mistakes. They build weapons. They start wars. They destroy themselves." The creature leaned closer to whatever camera was recording it. "The Council has determined that humanity must accept juvenile species protocols. This is not a request. This is law." A document appeared on the screens, replacing Vekril's face. Day One started reading, and with each line, his chest grew tighter. Humanity was ordered to stop all expansion beyond their home system immediately. All colony worlds must be abandoned within 6 months. Every ship capable of faster-than-light travel must be turned over to Council custody. Earth's weapons development programs must be shut down. All military forces must be reduced to local defense only. And worst of all, a Council oversight committee would be installed to supervise Earth's government. "This is insane," Hana said. She was reading the same document. "They want us to give up everything." Vekril's face returned. "You have 30 days to signal your acceptance. If you refuse, the Council will be forced to take corrective measures. Do not make this difficult. Thousands of species have joined the Council family peacefully. You will do the same." The transmission ended. The screens went back to normal. For a long moment, nobody in the communications center moved or spoke. Then everyone started talking at once. Admiral Taman's voice cut through the noise. "Everyone be quiet." The old man stood in the doorway, his uniform perfectly pressed as always. He had gray hair and a face full of scars from the colony wars 5 years ago. "I want a full analysis of that transmission in 1 hour. Find out where it came from, how they broke through our systems, and what else they know about us." Day One followed Taemin and Hana to a private briefing room. Once the door closed, Taemin sat down heavily in a chair. 30 days. The Admiral said quietly. "They gave us 30 days to surrender our freedom. Can they enforce this?" Day One asked. "We've been in space for 15 years. We've never seen any sign of a galactic government. Hana pulled up her datapad and started typing quickly. That's because we've been in the frontier regions. The systems we've explored are far from the galactic core. If there's a council, they probably operate from the center, where most of the stars are. How many species could they have? Taemin asked. Thousands, Hana said. Maybe tens of thousands. The galaxy is huge. We've barely seen any of it. Daewon walked to the window. Outside, he could see Earth below, blue and green and beautiful. Humanity had fought hard to get into space. They had lost people. Good people. His brother had died when the first colony ship crashed on Mars. Thousands more had died fighting off pirates in the outer systems. Earth had earned its place among the stars through blood and sacrifice. We can't accept this, he said. Taemin nodded slowly. I know. But we need to be smart. If they have thousands of species, they have thousands of fleets. We have 300 ships. The math is not good. Maybe we can negotiate, Hana suggested. Maybe if we talk to them. Explain our position. They didn't come here to negotiate, Taemin interrupted. That message wasn't an invitation to talk, it was an order. Over the next 3 days, Earth's government met in emergency session. The United Earth Council called in experts, military leaders, and scientists. Everyone had the same questions, and nobody had good answers. What was the Galactic Council? How powerful were they? What would happen if Earth refused? On the 4th day, Taemin called Daewon and Hana to his office. The president has made a decision, the admiral said. We're going to respond to their message. We're going to ask for a meeting. And you two are going to represent Earth. Daewon felt his stomach drop. Sir, I'm not a diplomat. You're a decorated officer who has seen real combat. You know what humanity is capable of. And Dr. Hana is our best expert on alien species. Taemin looked at both of them seriously. The president wants the council to see us as we really are. Strong, capable, not children who need their guidance. Hana took a deep breath. When do we leave? As soon as they respond to our message, Taemin said. Pack for a long trip. And remember, you're not just representing Earth. You're representing every human who ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of going there. 3 days later, the council responded. They agreed to a meeting. They provided coordinates to a station in a system 200 light-years from Earth. The message ended with a simple line that made Daewon's blood run cold. The council is pleased that you have chosen to be reasonable. Whoa. Whoa. As Daewon packed his bags, he looked at the picture on his desk. It showed his brother, standing next to the first colony ship, smiling. They had been so proud that day, proud of what humanity had achieved. He wasn't going to let the council take that away, no matter what it cost. The council station was massive. Daewon had seen big structures before. He had visited the orbital shipyards above Earth, where colony ships were built in zero gravity. He had seen the mining stations in the asteroid belt. But this was different. This was impossible. The station was built around a neutron star, spinning so fast it looked like a solid sphere of light. The station itself formed a ring around the star, hundreds of kilometers wide. Thousands of ships moved in and out of docking bays. Every ship was different. Built by species Daewon had never seen before. How old is this place? He asked quietly. G1, their security officer, checked her scanner. According to the data they sent us, over 8,000 years. She was a small woman, with sharp eyes and quick hands. Taemin had insisted she come along. Older than recorded human history, the Earth ship moved slowly through the traffic lanes toward their assigned docking port. Hana stood next to Daewon, watching everything with wide eyes. She was recording everything, taking notes on her datapad as fast as she could type. There, she said, pointing at a ship that looked like a living creature. That's a Velthix bioship. I've read about them. They grow their ships instead of building them. She pointed at another vessel. This one covered in crystalline structures. And that's a shardling transport. Their whole species lives in crystal formations. How many species are in the council? G1 asked. The public records say 7,000, Hana replied. But I think that number is old. Their ship docked with a soft thump. As they walked down the boarding ramp, Day One felt the artificial gravity shift under his feet. It was heavier than Earth standard. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet he couldn't identify. A delegation waited for them. 6 aliens of different species stood in a line. The one in front stepped forward. It was tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like stone. When it moved, Day One could hear its joints clicking. "Welcome to Council Central Station," the alien said through a translator device. "I am Administrator Grix. I will escort you to your quarters. The Council will see you tomorrow." They followed Grix through corridors filled with aliens. Day One saw species that walked on 4 legs, species that floated in the air, species that were so different he couldn't tell which part was their head. None of them paid attention to the humans. They just went about their business. "Is it always this busy?" Hana asked. "The Council never sleeps," Grix replied. 7,000 species means 7,000 different problems. Every day, thousands of disputes must be resolved. Trade agreements must be approved. Laws must be enforced. Their quarters were comfortable but simple. 3 rooms connected by a common area. After Grix left them alone, G1 immediately started checking for listening devices. She found 12 in the first 10 minutes. "Should I disable them?" she asked. Day One thought about it. "No. Let them listen. We have nothing to hide." That night, none of them slept well. Day One lay in bed, thinking about what they would say tomorrow. How do you tell an ancient galactic government that your young species refuses to obey? How do you make them understand that freedom matters more than security? Morning came too quickly. Grix arrived to escort them to the council chambers. They walked for almost an hour through the station, going deeper and deeper toward the center. Finally, they entered a massive circular room. The ceiling was so high, Day One couldn't see the top. Thousands of seats rose up in rings, and most of them were filled with aliens. At the center of the room, on a raised platform, sat 13 aliens. These were different from the others. They sat perfectly still, watching with ancient eyes. The one in the middle was a reptilian creature, covered in dark green scales. Its eyes were solid black and very old. "That's Council Prime Thendris," Hana whispered. "He's been leading the council for over 2,000 years. A voice echoed through the chamber. "The delegation from Earth may approach." Day One walked forward with Hana and G1 behind him. They stopped at the base of the platform. Thousands of eyes watched them from the seats above. Thendris spoke. His voice was deep and slow, like rocks grinding together. "Humanity, you received our instructions. You have come here to accept the terms of juvenile species protocols. This is good. It shows wisdom." Hana stepped forward. "Council Prime, we have come here to discuss the terms. We believe there has been a misunderstanding." A ripple of sound went through the chamber. It might have been laughter. Thendris raised one clawed hand, and the sound stopped. "There is no misunderstanding," he said. "The law is clear. All species must accept council guidance until they reach maturity. This process takes time, usually 5,000 years. 5,000 years? Day One couldn't stop himself from speaking. "You want us to give up our freedom for 5,000 years?" Day One. Day One. Day One. Day One. Day One. "Freedom is a concept for mature species," another council member said. This one looked like a mass of tentacles wrapped around a central body. "Young species do not understand the dangers they face. They must be protected. From others. And from themselves." Hana pulled out her datapad. "With respect, Council Prime, humanity has proven itself capable. In just 15 years, we have established colonies on 6 worlds. We have developed advanced technology. You have started wars. Thendris interrupted. Your species has a history of violence. We have studied your records. In the last century alone, you have fought 3 major wars. You have developed weapons capable of destroying your own planet. You are dangerous. We are strong, Day-One said quietly. There's a difference. Thendris leaned forward. Strength without guidance is destruction waiting to happen. The Council has maintained peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years. Do you know how we achieved this? By removing the ability of species to make war. By controlling who has weapons. By deciding who can travel between stars. By taking away their choice, Hana said. By preventing catastrophe, Thendris replied. 7,000 species live in peace under Council law. Not one of them has started a war in millennia. Not one of them has destroyed itself. This is the Great Peace. And you will join it. Day-One looked around the chamber. He studied the faces of the aliens watching them. Most looked bored. Some looked at their devices, not even paying attention. These were bureaucrats, not warriors. This was a government that had forgotten what conflict looked like. What if we refuse? He asked. The chamber went completely silent. Even Thendris seemed surprised by the question. No species refuses, the Council Prime said slowly. It would be unwise. But what if we did? Day-One pressed. What would happen? Thendris's eyes narrowed. Then the Council would be forced to take corrective measures. We would send enforcement fleets to your system. They would disable your ships. They would occupy your worlds. And they would remain there until you learned to be reasonable. He paused. 3 species have refused in the past. All 3 were pacified. It did not go well for them. G1 touched Day-One's arm gently. It was a warning. But Day-One ignored it. We need time to consider your terms, he said. This is not a decision we can make quickly. You have 48 hours, Thendris said. Then, the Council will vote. If you have not accepted by then, the vote will authorize enforcement action. I suggest you use your time wisely. Unquote. The session ended. As they walked back to their quarters, Hana was shaking. Did you see their faces? She said. They've done this before. Many times. And it always ends the same way. End you. G1 was very quiet. When they reached their rooms, and she had checked again for listeners, she turned to Day-One. I spent the whole session watching their security forces, she said. Their weapons are old. Their armor is ceremonial. And the guards looked uncomfortable wearing it, like they don't practice much. She paused. I don't think the Council has fought a real war in a very long time. Day-One sat down heavily. They have numbers. That's what matters. We have hundreds of ships. They probably have millions. Numbers aren't everything, G1 said quietly. That night, Day-One sent an encrypted message back to Earth. He told them everything. The Council's demands, the threat of enforcement fleets, and his observation about their military. The response came 12 hours later. It was from Admiral Taemin, just 3 words. Stand your ground. President Sung-Ho looked tired. The video call from Earth showed deep lines around his eyes that had not been there a month ago. Behind him, Day-One could see the Emergency Operations Center, filled with people working at stations. The whole world is watching, Sung-Ho said. Every government, every news channel, every person with a screen. They all want to know what we're going to do. Day-One sat in the secure communication room on the Council station. Hana and G1 stood behind him. The transmission delay was 3 seconds each way, which made conversation difficult. What are our options, sir? Day-One asked. Sung-Ho was quiet for a long moment. The military council has run the numbers. If the council sends their enforcement fleets, we cannot win. Not in a straight fight. They have too many ships, too many resources. But, Hana prompted, but General Hyun-Mi has a plan. Sung-ho continued. A contingency we hoped we would never need to use. He looked directly at the camera. How certain are you that the Council has not fought a real war recently? Very certain, Ji-won said. Their security forces are ceremonial. Their ships are designed for show, not combat. Everything here is about bureaucracy and procedure. They have forgotten how to fight, Ji-won said. Sung-ho nodded slowly. Then we have a chance. A small one. He took a deep breath. I am going to refuse their demands. And when they send their fleets, we are going to show them what humanity can do. Daewon felt his heart racing. Sir, you are talking about war. I am talking about survival, Sung-ho replied. If we accept their terms, humanity becomes a pet species. We give up everything our ancestors fought for. We stop being free. He paused. I cannot do that. I will not do that. What about the people? Hana asked. What do they say? Sung-ho smiled sadly. We held a vote. Every human old enough to understand was asked one question. Do you accept council rule? 82% said no. People are afraid, but they are more afraid of losing their freedom than they are of fighting. The transmission ended. Daewon sat in silence, processing what they had just heard. Earth was going to fight against an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. It seemed impossible. We need to get back to Earth, Ji-won said, before the Council decides to keep us here as hostages. But before they could move, an alert came through on Hana's datapad. Someone was requesting a meeting. The location was an abandoned cargo bay in the lower levels of the station. It could be a trap, Ji-won warned. Or it could be important, Hana replied. The message is encoded in an old Earth cipher. Someone went to a lot of trouble to contact us secretly. They went to the meeting, with Ji-won leading the way and checking every corner. The cargo bay was empty and dark. Then, a figure stepped out of the shadows. It was an alien, tall and thin, with a body that looked like it was made of connected segments. Its 4 eyes glowed softly in the darkness. Please do not be alarmed, the alien said through a translator. My name is Kelris. I am Kelhari, and I am here to help you. Help us how? Daewon asked, his hand near his weapon. By telling you the truth the Council will not share. Kelris moved closer, and Daewon could see fear in those glowing eyes. I was once part of a species that refused Council rule. We called ourselves the Kelhari Empire. We had conquered 20 star systems. We thought we were strong enough to stand alone. What happened? Hana asked softly. The Council sent their fleets. Not hundreds of ships. Thousands. They surrounded our home world and gave us one last chance to surrender. We refused. Kelris's voice became quieter. They used weapons we had never seen. Weapons that shut down our technology. Weapons that made our people sick. They did not destroy us. That would have been mercy. Instead, they broke us. They took everything from us until we had no choice but to accept their rule. How long ago was this? Daewon asked. 700 years, Kelris replied. I was not alive then. But we remember. Every Kelhari remembers the Shame War. The war we could not win. Ji-won stepped forward. Then why are you helping us? Because I have watched your species, Kelris said. I have studied your history. You are different. You do not break easily. And because, the alien hesitated, because when the Council destroyed the Kelhari Empire, we lost something important. We lost our spirit. I do not want that to happen to humanity. Kelris gave them a data chip. This contains information about the 3 species that resisted Council rule. Their strategies. Their mistakes. How the Council defeated them. Study it. Learn from it. Maybe you will see something they did not. Why do this? Hana asked. If the Council finds out you helped us, then I will face consequences, Kelris said simply. But some things are worth the risk. Freedom is one of them. The alien turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. The Council has not fought a major war in 3,000 years. Their military exists to intimidate, not to fight. But they are many. Remember that. They are very, very many. After Kelrus left, they returned to their quarters and studied the data chip. It showed 3 different species who had refused council rule. The first was the Kelhari Empire. The second was a species called the Dreln Collective. The third was something called the Free Traders Alliance. All 3 had fought. All 3 had lost. They all made the same mistake, Hana said, reading through the files. They tried to defend their home systems. They waited for the council to come to them. What else could they do? Ji-won asked. Fight differently, Dae-won said quietly. He was thinking about the old wars on Earth, before humanity reached the stars. The council expects traditional warfare. Battle lines. Fleets facing fleets. What if we don't give them that? On Earth, General Hyun-mi was having the same thought. She stood in the deep command center, 3 kilometers below the surface, looking at holographic displays showing Earth's defenses. They were impressive, but not enough. Not nearly enough. Activate Project Prometheus, she ordered. Across the solar system, hidden bases began powering up. These were not normal military installations. They had been built in secret over the past decade, using resources from the asteroid belt. Earth's government had hoped never to need them. But hope was not a strategy. In Mars orbit, what looked like an abandoned mining station split open. Inside were weapon platforms, still in their construction cradles. On the far side of the moon, underground factories began working at full speed, producing missiles and drones by the thousands. In the asteroid belt, hundreds of rocks that had seemed normal suddenly came online, revealing themselves as disguised fortresses. This was humanity's secret. While the Council had watched them openly, humanity had been preparing quietly. Just in case, Sung-ho stood before the United Earth Council and made his announcement. It was broadcast to every human settlement, from Earth to the farthest colony. Today, the Galactic Council demanded we surrender our freedom. They said we must accept their rule for 5,000 years. They said we are too young, too dangerous, too violent to govern ourselves. He paused, letting his words sink in. I say we are none of those things. We are human. We are free. And we will remain free. The council chamber erupted in cheers. But Sung-ho raised his hand for silence. This decision will cost us. People will die. Ships will be destroyed. Our colonies may be damaged or lost. But I believe humanity would rather fight and die free than live in comfortable chains. Am I wrong? The chamber erupted again, louder this time. The answer was clear. Sung-ho sent the message to the council station. It was simple and direct. The people of Earth have considered your terms. Our answer is no. We reject council authority. We will defend our sovereignty. If you send your fleets, we will fight. On the council station, Dae-won watched as the message was delivered to Council Prime Thendris. The old reptilian's face showed no emotion, but his claws tightened on the arms of his chair. Summon the council, Thendris said quietly. We vote today. The vote took less than an hour. All 13 members of the Council Prime voted in favor of enforcement action. The full council of 7,000 species voted next. Only 12 voted against. The rest either voted for enforcement or abstained. The decision is made, Thendris announced. The enforcement fleets will be dispatched to the Sol system. They will disable Earth's military. They will occupy Earth's colonies. And they will remain until humanity accepts council authority. He looked directly at where Dae-won stood. This is your last chance. Surrender now, and mercy will be shown. Dae-won stood straight. Humanity does not surrender. Then humanity will learn a hard lesson, Thendris replied. The same lesson every species learns eventually. The Council always wins. But as Day One walked out of the chamber, he felt something unexpected. Not fear, not doubt. Instead, he felt pride. Humanity was small. Humanity was young, but humanity would fight for its freedom, and sometimes, that was enough. The Council Enforcement Fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system exactly 1 week after the vote. There were 5,000 ships, arranged in perfect formation. They moved slowly, confidently, like they had done this many times before. Admiral Taemin watched them approach from his command ship in orbit around Mars. Every screen showed the incoming fleet. Every sensor was locked onto them. Around him, officers worked quietly, efficiently. They had trained for this moment, even though they had hoped it would never come. "How long until they reach Earth?" he asked. "At their current speed, 18 hours, his tactical officer replied. "They are not hurrying. They seem to think we will surrender." "Let them think that," Taemin said quietly. "All stations, maintain radio silence. No active sensors. We are asteroids. We are debris. We are nothing worth noticing." The Earth Defense Force had 300 combat ships. Against 5,000, it seemed hopeless. But Taemin had not risen to his position by fighting fair. He had spent 30 years in the military. He had fought pirates, raiders, and colonist rebellions. He knew one truth that the Council had forgotten. Numbers only matter if you can use them. Commander Bo-Ra sat in her fighter cockpit, waiting. Around her, 200 other fighters waited in the shadow of Mars. They were powered down, drifting, invisible to long-range scans. Bo-Ra had flown combat missions before, but never anything like this. Never against an army that outnumbered them so badly. Her neural link connected her directly to her ship's systems. She could feel the fighter like it was part of her body. This was new technology. Something humanity had developed in secret. The Council did not know about it. They were about to find out. "All wings. This is Bo-Ra," she said over the encrypted channel. "Remember your training. Remember why we fight. And remember, we are human. That means we do not give up. Ever." 200 voices responded as one. "Yes, Commander." On Earth, President Sung-ho watched from the Emergency Command Center. He had not slept in 3 days. Every decision weighed on him. Every choice could mean life or death for millions. But he had made his choice. Now he had to see it through. "How are the evacuations going?" he asked. "All major cities have opened shelters," General Hyunmi replied. She stood next to him, watching the same displays. "We have moved 3 million people to underground facilities. The rest have been told to prepare for possible orbital bombardment." "Will the Council bombard Earth?" Sung-ho asked. "No," Hyunmi said. "They want us intact. They want to rule us, not destroy us. But accidents happen in war." The Council fleet reached Jupiter's orbit and paused. A transmission came through, broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Fleet Marshal Vorden of the Council Enforcement Navy. Humanity has been found in violation of Council law. You are ordered to power down all military vessels and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with appropriate force. You have 1 hour to comply." Taemin let the hour pass in silence. When it ended, another transmission came. "Your time has expired. We are advancing. All ships in our path will be disabled." The Council fleet began moving again, headed straight for Earth. They maintained their perfect formation, thousands of ships moving as one. It was beautiful in a terrible way. When they reached the asteroid belt, everything changed. The asteroids opened fire. Hundreds of hidden weapon platforms revealed themselves, launching missiles and firing railguns. The projectiles moved at a significant fraction of light speed, too fast for the Council ships to dodge. The first wave hit before the fleet even realized they were under attack. Explosions bloomed across the formation. Council ships broke apart, their shields unable to handle weapons they had never encountered before. The perfect formation collapsed into chaos. "All ships, engage," Taemin ordered. The Earth Defense Force emerged from hiding. Ships that had been powered down suddenly came online, appearing on sensors like ghosts. They did not charge at the enemy. Instead, they spread out, using the asteroids for cover, firing, and moving, never staying in one place. Bo-Ra led her fighter wing into the battle. The neural link let her react faster than any normal pilot could. She dove between enemy ships, too small and fast for their weapons to track. Her missiles found targets, punching through shields that were designed to stop larger weapons. "Remember," she shouted to her wing, "these ships have not fought a war in thousands of years. We have. We know what we are doing. They do not." The Council fleet tried to reform, but they could not. The asteroids kept firing. The Earth ships kept moving. And humanity's tactics were completely foreign to them. The Council expected battle lines. They expected fleets to face each other and trade fire until one side retreated. But humans did not fight that way. Dr. Young-sik activated the Prometheus protocol from his laboratory on Earth. Around the solar system, thousands of AI-controlled drones came online. They were small, fast, and smart. Each one had artificial intelligence that could learn and adapt in real time. The drones swarmed the Council ships like angry insects. Individual drones were not dangerous, but thousands of them, working together, coordinating their attacks, finding weak points in shields and armor, they were deadly. Fleet Marshal Vorden watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. He had commanded enforcement actions before. They were always simple. Show up, with overwhelming force. Accept the enemy's surrender. Occupy their worlds. This was supposed to be easy, but the humans were not surrendering. They were fighting with a ferocity he had never seen. His ships were dying by the dozens, then by the hundreds, and he could not understand their tactics. They were everywhere and nowhere. They hit hard and disappeared. They used weapons he had never encountered. "All ships, fall back," he ordered. "Reform at Jupiter." But falling back was harder than advancing. The human fighters pursued them, harassing them, picking off stragglers. The asteroid fortresses kept firing, and those terrible drones followed them, never stopping, never tiring. Taemin watched the enemy retreat and felt no joy. Yes, they had won the first battle, but the cost had been terrible. Earth had lost 80 ships, good ships with good crews. Thousands of people were dead. And the enemy fleet, though damaged, was still much larger than his own force. "Damage report," he ordered. "We have lost 26% of our fleet," his tactical officer said. "The asteroid fortresses have expended 60% of their ammunition. Fighter wings are down to half strength. And the enemy? We estimate they lost 3,000 ships, maybe more, 3,000 out of 5,000. It was an incredible victory, but they still had 2,000 ships left, and Taemin had less than 200. The Council fleet regrouped at Jupiter. They had learned their lesson. They abandoned their perfect formations. They spread out, made themselves harder to target. They started using their numbers properly, surrounding enemy ships before engaging. The second battle was worse than the first. This time, the Council fought smart. They targeted the asteroid fortresses, overwhelming them with focused fire. They sent fast attack ships to hunt down the drones. They adapted to human tactics. Bo-Ra lost half her wing in 15 minutes. The enemy had figured out how to track their fighters, how to predict their movements. She watched friends die, their ships breaking apart under enemy fire. "All wings, fall back to Mars," she ordered. "We cannot win this fight." The retreat was costly. More ships died trying to disengage. More fighters were caught and destroyed. But slowly, painfully, the Earth forces pulled back toward Mars. On Earth, alarms were sounding. The enemy fleet was advancing. They would reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. General Hyun-mi prepared for the final defense, but then something unexpected happened. The Council fleet stopped. They held position between Mars and Earth. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a transmission came through. It was Fleet Marshal Vorden, and he sounded shaken. "This is madness," he said. "We have lost 3,000 ships. 3,000. Do you understand what you have done? We came here to pacify you, not to wage war," Taemin replied personally. "Then you should not have come. We told you we would defend ourselves. You chose not to believe us. You cannot win," Vorden said. "Even if you destroy every ship in this fleet, the Council will send more. They will send 10,000 ships. 20,000. However many it takes. Then send them," Taemin replied calmly. "We will destroy them too. Because this is our home. And we will never stop defending it." There was a long pause. When Vorden spoke again, his voice was different, uncertain. "Stand by for further communication," he said. And the transmission ended. Sung-ho watched this exchange from Earth. He knew what was happening. The Council had not expected real resistance. They had not expected to lose thousands of ships. They had not expected humans to fight with such determination. Now they were uncertain. And uncertainty was a weapon more powerful than any missile. "Prepare the message," Sung-ho told his communications officer. "Send it to every species in the galaxy. It is time everyone knows what happened here." The message was simple. It contained footage of the battle. It showed Earth's small fleet fighting against impossible odds. It showed Council ships burning, and it ended with a simple statement. The Council said humanity must obey. Humanity said no. And we are still here. The message spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within days, billions of beings had seen it. For the first time in thousands of years, someone had fought the Council and survived. The message from Earth changed everything. Within 3 days, the Council station was in chaos. Delegations from hundreds of species were demanding emergency sessions. Some wanted to know why the Council had lost so many ships. Others wanted to know why humanity had not been crushed immediately. And a very few, were asking different questions. Questions about freedom. Daewon, Hana, and Jiwon were still on the station when it happened. They had tried to leave, but the Council had locked down all departures. Now they sat in their quarters, watching the news feeds from across the galaxy. "We have started something," Hana said quietly. "Good," Jiwon replied. She was cleaning her weapon, something she did when she was nervous. The galaxy needed a wake-up call. On the main Council chamber floor, Thendris faced a storm of angry voices. Species representatives were shouting, demanding answers, pointing claws and tentacles at him accusingly. The ancient reptilian leader stood silent, letting them vent their anger. Finally, he raised one clawed hand. The chamber fell silent. "You want answers?" Thendris said. His voice was cold as ice. "The answer is simple. Humanity refused to accept our guidance. We sent a fleet to enforce compliance. They fought back. We underestimated their capability. That is all. We left. We left. 3,000 ships," one delegate shouted. "You lost 3,000 ships to a species that has barely learned to travel between stars." "They got lucky," another council member said. "They used tactics we did not expect. It will not happen again." But the murmurs in the chamber suggested many did not believe this. A delegate from the Kelhari stood. It was not Kelris, but someone older, more important. "I remember when my species fought the Council. We lost, but we fought with honor, defending our freedom. I see that same spirit in humanity. Perhaps we were wrong to forget what freedom means." Thendris turned his cold eyes on the Kelhari delegate. "You suggest the Council was wrong to maintain order? I suggest the Council has ruled for so long, it has forgotten what it is like to be ruled." The delegate replied. "Perhaps it is time we remembered." The session ended in confusion. But as delegates left the chamber, small groups began forming. Quiet conversations started. For the first time in thousands of years, species were questioning council authority openly. Back at Earth, the defense continued. The council fleet had not attacked again. But they had not left either. They maintained position between Mars and Earth, blockading the planet. No ships could enter or leave the system. They are waiting for reinforcements, General Hyun-mi told President Sung-ho. Our intelligence suggests another fleet is being assembled. This one will be twice as large. Can we survive another attack? Sung-ho asked. Hyun-mi was quiet for a long moment. No. We used most of our ammunition in the first battle. Our ships need repairs we cannot complete while under blockade. If they attack with 10,000 ships... She shook her head. We will fight. We will make them pay for every meter. But we will lose. Sung-ho nodded slowly. He had known this was coming. One way or another, humanity's first war with the galaxy would end soon. But he had made sure Earth's message had been sent. Even if humanity fell, others would remember. Others would know that it was possible to say no to the Council. Then something unexpected happened. A new fleet entered the Sol system. But these were not Council ships. They bore the markings of the Kelhari Empire. Or what remained of it. 30 ships, old but still functional, moved to position themselves between Earth and the Council fleet. A transmission came through. It was Kelris. People of Earth, the Kelhari said. 700 years ago, my species lost our freedom, fighting the Council. We have lived in shame ever since. But you have shown us that freedom is worth fighting for. We may die today, but we will die free. Standing with you. Dukander. 1744. 1744. Before anyone could respond, more ships arrived. These were from the Shardling worlds. Then came ships from a species called the Vren. Then more. And more. Within an hour, over 200 ships from 20 different species had positioned themselves around Earth. None of them were military powers. None of them could stand against the Council alone. But together, standing with humanity, they made a statement that echoed across the galaxy. Fleet Marshal Vorden watched this development with growing alarm. His orders were to pacify Earth. But now, he faced a coalition. If he attacked, he would be starting a war with 20 species, not just one. He sent an urgent message to the Council. The situation has changed. Request new orders. On the Council station, Thendris called an emergency session. The chamber was packed. Every species wanted to be present for this moment. The situation at Earth has become complicated, Thendris said. Multiple species have joined humanity's resistance. If we attack now, we risk a wider conflict. Then we crush them all, one of the Warhawks said. We show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the Council. But other voices rose in opposition. Species that had been silent for millennia suddenly found their courage. How many ships will you lose? One delegate asked. How many species will you fight? The humans alone cost you 3,000 vessels. If 20 species fight together, how many will die? The Council has kept the peace for 10,000 years, another said. But peace maintained through fear is not real peace. It is just oppression, waiting to explode. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Thendris called for a vote. The question was simple. Should the Council continue its enforcement action against Earth? The vote was closer than anyone expected. 4,000 voted yes. 3,000 voted no. But even those who voted yes seemed uncertain. While the Council debated, Day One received a message. It was from Admiral Taemin. We have a plan, the message said. It is risky, but if it works, we can end this without more bloodshed. We need you to deliver a message to the Council. In person. During their next session, Day One, Hana, and G1 made their way to the Council chamber. Guards tried to stop them, But Day One pushed past. "We have something to say," he announced, his voice carrying across the chamber. "And you will listen." Thundris looked like he wanted to have them removed. Day One walked to the center of the chamber. He looked up at the thousands of species watching him. "You think humanity is dangerous?" he said. "You think we are violent, unpredictable, a threat to your great peace. And maybe you are right. But we are also something else. We are honest." He pulled out a data chip and held it up. "During the battle, we marked every single one of your ships with tracking particles. Particles so small you did not notice them. We know where your fleets are. We know where your homeworlds are. We know where every Council military installation is located." The chamber erupted in outrage. Thundris stood up, his scales turning a darker shade of green. "That is an act of war," he shouted. "Yes," Day One agreed. "It is. Just like sending 5,000 ships to conquer our world was an act of war. But here is the difference." He looked directly at Thundris. "We could use this information to strike at you, to hit your worlds when you are not expecting it, to fight a guerrilla war across the galaxy that would last for centuries. But we will not do that." He placed the data chip on the floor. "This contains all the tracking data. Every location. Every ship. We are giving it to you. All of it. Because humanity does not want war. We never did. We just want to be free." The chamber fell completely silent. "So here is our offer." Day One continued. "Leave Earth alone. Recognize our sovereignty. And in return, we will share our technology with any species that wants it. The weapons we used, the tactics we developed, the AI systems, everything. Not because we want to arm the galaxy against you, but because we believe every species deserves the ability to defend themselves." General Hyunmi's voice came through the chamber speakers, transmitted from Earth. "The Council has ruled through control of technology for 10,000 years. But that era is ending. Humanity is sharing our knowledge freely with any species that wants it. You can try to stop us. You can send more fleets. But every battle you fight will show more species that resistance is possible. Eventually, you will face not one human fleet, but hundreds of species fighting for their freedom." Thundris sat down slowly. For the first time in 2,000 years, he looked uncertain. "You would share your weapons technology? Freely?" he asked. "We will share everything," Sung Ho said. His image appeared on the screens. "Because we believe in something you have forgotten. We believe that freedom and progress come from cooperation between equals, not submission to authority. We believe that species should choose their own paths, make their own mistakes, and stand on their own feet. And if they destroy themselves?" Thundris asked quietly. "Then that is their choice to make," Sung Ho replied. "Better to die free than live as slaves." The council chamber was silent for a long time. Finally, one of the other council members stood. It was the tentacled being who had spoken before. "I vote to recognize Earth's sovereignty," it said, "and to open negotiations for a new agreement. One based on cooperation, not control." Another member stood. "I agree." Then another, and another. Thundris looked around the chamber. He saw species that had been silent for thousands of years finding their voices. He saw the old order crumbling. And he knew, in that moment, that the galaxy had changed forever. "The Council will take the matter under advisement," he said finally. "The enforcement fleet is ordered to withdraw from Earth space. Negotiations will begin." It was not surrender. But it was not victory either. It was something new. Something the galaxy had not seen in 10,000 years. It was compromise, between equals. 6 months later, Day One and Hana stood on Earth's surface, watching the reconstruction efforts. The battle had damaged much, but humanity was rebuilding. And they were not alone. Ships from dozens of species were bringing aid, resources, technology. The Free Systems Alliance had been formed. 23 species had joined so far, all committed to mutual defense and cooperation. The council still existed, but its power was diminished. Other species were questioning its authority. Change was spreading across the galaxy. "Do you think it will last?" Hannah asked. "The peace? I do not know," Day One replied honestly. "But it is a better peace than before. One built on respect, not fear." Admiral Taemin joined them, looking up at the sky where stars were beginning to appear in the evening light. "They wanted us to be children," he said quietly. "Obedient, controlled, safe. But we showed them something different," Hannah added. Day One nodded. "We showed them what it means to be human, to fight for what you believe in, to stand up when everyone tells you to bow down, to choose freedom, even when freedom is dangerous." In orbit above Earth, the last council ship departed. The blockade was over. Earth was free, and across the galaxy, other species watched and wondered. If humanity could stand against the council and survive, perhaps they could too. Perhaps freedom was not a dream. Perhaps it was possible. The age of the council's absolute rule was ending, and a new age was beginning. An age of choice, an age of freedom, an age where species would stand together as equals, not submit as subjects. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy, but they had changed it. And sometimes, that was more important than winning.